as we celebrate Independence Day, two of America's bravest who fought on the front lines to protect our freedom share their views on the ongoing battle in Iraq.
That's right. Joining us now is First Lieutenant Pete Hegseth of the United States Army. And Lieutenant, you actually came home about a year ago.
Yes.
And right now, as you're watching what's going on over there from the perch of New York City, and you're hearing about this surge, you know, there's been a lot of polarization among American people about this war. What would you say to people that is encouraging to you? What are you seeing that's an encouraging sign?
The encouraging sign is the new strategy that we've got in Baghdad.
The surge?
Yes, the General Petraeus is implementing. It's enough if you look at it within Baghdad. It's the Baghdad security plan, which is an important part to remember, is they're not trying to pacify the entire country, but pacify the center of gravity in Iraq, which is Baghdad. So if you can bring peace and security to the streets there, and then allow Iraqi security forces to hold that, you can move out and really deny al-Qaeda safe haven elsewhere.
Pete, as you know, there are a lot of people who say we need a lot more troops. This surge doesn't do the job, and we really don't have the troops to provide the number that would be required to pacify the entire country. Does that concern you?
It does, and if we could have 100,000 more troops in Iraq, I'd be for it, absolutely, because I think that's what it would take to deny safe haven to al-Qaeda everywhere and bring the kind of stability that's needed. But focusing on Baghdad is a great first step. And I think if we could win sort of a security victory there and stabilize the home of the Iraqi government, it would be the first step in having us draw down and hand the mission over to the Iraqis.
But do you think that Americans have the appetite, watching the drip, drip, drip of casualties, to stick it out?
I'm not sure, and that's what vetsforfreedom.org is trying to do, is get veterans out there to talk about completing the mission. Veterans that have been there and seen it, understand the mission, and give people an understanding of what we're doing, where we're going forward, so that they can support the war and support General Petraeus' strategy.
It's tough for you, it's tough for journalists as well to assess what's really going on over there, and we still see the casualties. The casualties have not gone down. So how can we tell at this point whether the surge strategy is working?
I think American casualties is not a very good metric, because now we're pushing troops out of big bases and into the neighborhoods to provide security. A better metric is the number of sectarian murders. And in June, the number dropped dramatically since what the number was in January. So there are metrics that are moving in the right direction.
But I mean, Americans care, I think, more about U.S. personnel dying over there than they care about Iraqis dying. Is that fair?
Understand, and I do too. I mean, nobody wants to lose another serviceman. Every live loss.
And quickly, biggest misconception Americans have right now about the Iraq War?
Is that it's moving in the wrong direction. And we finally have the right strategy that needs to be communicated. General Petraeus is doing the right things. He just needs the time to see it through.
Okay, and having said that, we're going to bring in now, thank you, Pete Hegseth. Right now, we're going to have Marine Sergeant Elliot Anderson. Thanks for joining us. You were probably just listening to our conversation with Pete, who seems very hopeful. Give us your reaction.
Well, first, let me thank you for having me on. And let me say, Semper Fi, Greg. It's nice to always talk to a Marine.
Okay, Semper Fi to you, and it's good to have two veterans. You yourself are a combat veteran of Afghanistan. So, what is your sense right now of the strategy that is in place?
Well, I think it's madness. 20,000 people into a city of 6 million. That's not a very military sound strategy. I think we need to be worrying about the real war on terror in Afghanistan, where I fought.
So you're against the Iraq war, and are you concerned at all about what would happen if we pulled out?
Well, this is the funny thing. The real metrics for success is what the Iraqi government does. The Iraqi government has not worked out its problems. It's not done anything to further reconcile their political situation. As long as they don't do that, we're going to be stuck there forever, and American troops are going to continue to die in an Iraqi civil war. And that's unacceptable. We need to be fighting the real war on terror versus the people who attacked us on 9/11. Osama bin Laden is laughing in a cave at us because he killed 3,000 of our citizens, and he hasn't been brought to justice.
So, Sergeant Anderson, those who are affiliated with your group, votevets.org, what are you proposing? We've heard from Lieutenant Hegseth. He thinks that the surge should be given time and will ultimately work. Your organization, where do they come down?
VoteVets believes in fighting the war on terror. We need to be focusing and surging in the war on terror in Afghanistan and responsibly ending this war, this civil war that we're involved in Iraq.
All right, Sergeant Elliot Anderson, an Afghanistan vet and member of VoteVets.org, opposes the Iraq War, and Pete Hegseth, Iraq vet and executive director of VetsForFreedom.org. We thank you both. I mean, you guys have been there, you've done that,
Yeah.
and your voices are credible.
Thank you so much, and happy 4th of July to both of you.